Hi everybody, I hope that you're doing fine. Today we're going to have our last class of the week and we must finish unit number 11. And as you can see, first we have a pronunciation topic. And the first exercise says, listen and repeat the word pairs A to D. What do you notice about the pronunciation of each pair? Alright, so I'm going to play the audio where they're going to mention these words, but please repeat the words and answer the question. Here it goes.
Track 37. A.
Bear, bear.
B.
Deer, deer.
C.
Fur, fur.
D.
Tail, tail.
Alright, very good guys. So what did you notice about the pronunciation of each pair? Well, if you pay attention, you might have noticed that the pronunciation is the same. But this is very important, the definition of these words is not the same. In order to practice that, we're gonna do the exercise number 2 that says match the words A to D with their meanings 1 to 4. For example, here we have bear and bear. These are pronounced the same, but the definitions are different. The meaning of bear with the A at the beginning will be empty or undressed. And the definition of bear, that is the animal, it's a large animal with thick fur. For example, a panda. Alright, like this guys, please complete the exercise number 2. And when you finish, please answer this question that says, do you have words that sound the same but have different spellings and different meanings in your language? For example, in Spanish, I can think of the word casa, that is house, the place where we live. But if we write it with Z instead of with S, we have casa, that means hunt. That is when you go and kill animals for sport. Right? As you can see, these two words are pronounced the same, but they're written differently and have a different meaning. Like this, please write some examples over here. Alright, so do it, and when you finish, we'll continue. Alright, now let's check the answers. As you can see, when you say dear, it is like when you write a letter that you say dear, sir, or madam. But this deer is another animal, a brown animal with long legs. For example, Bambi. Bambi is a deer. Then we have fir with I, that is a Christmas tree. And fur with U, it is the hair that covers some animals. For example, rabbits, their hair is called fur. Bears, also their hair is called fur. Finally, we have tail, that in some occasions animals have a tail. For example, cats have long tails. Also, dogs have tails. But tail with E is an imaginative story. Okay? Very good. Now let's continue with the listening topic. Here we have some people with their animals. Here we have Harry the pig, Hendrik the spider, and Paige the hamster. Alright? I'm gonna play an audio and we're gonna listen to Tim, Gus, and Maxine talking about their pets. And they ask us, which questions does the interview ask? Alright? So according to what they say, which of these questions do you think that they are being asked? Alright? Okay, so let's listen to the audio and do the exercise.
Track 38. Tim.
Can you describe your pet?
She's very fat and not very pretty, but she's got a cute curly tail.
Is she a good companion?
Yes, absolutely. I always tell her my problems, and she listens.
Do you and your pet look alike?
I hope not.
If you were an animal, what would you like to be?
A dolphin? I love the ocean, and dolphins are intelligent and funny, like me.
Gus.
Can you describe your pet?
He's black and has 8 hairy legs.
Is he a good companion?
Yeah, he's like a friend, but other people are afraid of him. He scares people away.
Do you and your pet look alike?
I'm not that hairy, but I think he looks cool like me.
If you were an animal, what would you like to be?
A lion, because they're big and tough, and they rule.
Maxine.
Can you describe your pet?
She's very fluffy and very lovable. My boyfriend doesn't like her because she bit him. she doesn't like men.
Is she a good companion?
Yes, she's good company for me when my boyfriend goes away on business. And she enjoys doing the same things as me. She loves to sleep all day and party all night long.
Do you and your pet look alike?
I think that she's better looking than me. Who could resist those brown eyes?
If you were an animal, what would you like to be?
I am an animal.
Alright? You will have noticed that they asked the question letter A, the question letter C, the letter E, and letter F. Alright. Now, in the exercise number 2, we have check the characteristics that you think Tim, Gus, and Maxine mentioned to describe their pets. If you need to play the audio again, guys, you can do it. So do this exercise, and when you finish, you will discuss these questions with your partners. Which of the characteristics in exercise 2 would you like for in a pet? And which of these characteristics would you look for in a person? Alright, so you're gonna do this exercise, and then you're gonna call your classmates to discuss these questions. And when you finish, we'll continue. Alright, very good. Now, moving on to the grammar topic, we have unreal conditionals. In the first exercise we have, look at this question from the interview on page 104. Answer the questions. So we have this table and we have this sentence. If you were an animal, what would you like to be? Is this question about the real situation or about an imaginary situation? It says, if you were an animal. Is this real or unreal? Very good. It is an imaginary situation because I am not an animal and you are not an animal. Now, is the question about now or the past? It is about now because even that we're using the past tense, we're talking about that imaginary situation in present. If you were an animal today, right now. And finally, what tense is used in the if clause? Well, as you can see in the if clause, we're using the past tense. Alright, so this topic is called unreal situations. So let's give a little explanation to this topic. Here we have, it's used to talk about things that are unreal or unlikely in the present or future. Alright, so this topic is talk about unreal situation. The first thing we need to know is how to differentiate real situations from imaginary situations. Alright, for example, I am not an animal. This is a real situation. An imaginary situation will be if I was or were an animal. Alright, this is imaginary. And as you can see here, we're using the verb in past tense. This doesn't mean that I'm talking in past. I'm talking in present, like here. Right now, I am not an animal, and right now, I were not an animal. This is in present, but we're using the past tense because it is imaginary. If we say, if I am an animal, well, this will be a real situation. But remember that we're talking about imaginary situations, right? Another example could be, I live in Mexico. This is a real situation. An imaginary situation will be if I lived in France. Again, we have lived in past tense, but we're talking in present because it is an imaginary situation. Right, now, when we write sentences with unreal conditionals, we're gonna start them with an imaginary situation. And then we're gonna write an imaginary consequence. So if this happens, then we're gonna have a consequence. For example, if I was or were an animal, I will be a lion. So this is the situation and this will be the consequence. As you can see, the consequence, we're gonna use the word would. And then we're gonna use a verb in base form. I would be. Then, in order to separate the imaginary situation from the imaginary consequence, we're gonna write a comma. If I was or were an animal, comma, this is the imaginary situation, I will be a lion. This is the imaginary consequence, right? Another example, if I lived in France, I would speak French. And here we have the comma. This is unreal because I don't live in France, so I don't speak French. Alright? Well, as you can see, this is the affirmative form to do it. To use the real conditional in negative form, we have different ways to do it. First, we can say the negative in the imaginary situation. If I didn't have a car, I will use the bus. Then we can say here in affirmative and here in negative. For example, if I had a job, I wouldn't be unemployed. And the next option is that we could use the negative in the imaginary situation and in the imaginary consequence. For example, if I didn't know you, I wouldn't be your friend. Alright? So you can write in negative here or in both, depending on what you're trying to say. Here, remember guys that in past tense we use the auxiliary didn't. And when you use didn't, the verb is gonna be base form. Didn't have, didn't know. And here, well, you just have to change would for wouldn't. And the verb doesn't change at all. Right? It's still in base form. Very good. Now, in the interrogative form, we have here the sentence, the normal imaginary situation, if you were a millionaire, and then the comma. And here is where we're going to change the structure. First, we're going to write the word would, then the subject, and then the verb in base form. Would you donate money? And here, well, we have a question mark. Or you can also first write this, would you donate money? And then the situation, if you were a millionaire. But pay attention, if you want to write if in the middle, you no longer need the comma, all right? So when they ask you these questions, you can answer, yes, I would, or no, I wouldn't. If the subject is you, you're gonna answer with I. If the subject is he or she or it, well, you're gonna answer with that subject. If she were a millionaire, yes, she would, or no, she wouldn't, okay? Very good. And well, this is all you need to know about this topic. I hope that you understood everything, because right now we're gonna practice it a little bit. Let's see. In the second exercise we have, replace the word animal in the table above with words in the box and or your own ideas. And then you're gonna ask your partner the questions. Okay, so here we have this box, and as you can see, here we have the word animal. What you're gonna do is that you're gonna complete this table with this structure, but instead of animal, you're gonna write a car, a color, a famous person, and you're gonna complete it with a question with would. But if you want to use any other idea, well, it is correct. For example, if you talk about a famous person, you're gonna write, if you were a famous person, here I'm missing the comma, but comma, who would you like to be? All right, in this case, I'm talking about a person, I wanna use who. If you're talking about an object, what? And like this, you're gonna complete this table. You can use any other idea if you want, and when you finish, you're gonna call your classmates and you're gonna ask them the questions. You're gonna call them and you're gonna say, if you were an animal, what would you like to be? And they had to answer, I would like to be a dog. If you were a famous person, who would you like to be? And they have to answer, I would like to be, and the name of the famous person. Right? So do it, guys, and when you finish, we'll continue. Alright, now moving on to the exercise number 3, we have complete these moral dilemmas with the correct verb. Okay, so here we have these 4 sentences that are in unreal conditional. You have to write the verb in its correct form. Remember, if it is the unreal situation, the verb must be in past tense. For example, here we have, if you a wallet in the street with $20. This is the unreal situation, so you're gonna write the verb in simple past, found. And when you have the unreal consequence, remember to write would and the verb in phase form. Like here, would you give the wallet to the police but keep the cash? Alright, so please complete these sentences, and when you finish, we'll check the answers. Alright, let's check the answers. In the letter B we have, If you saw somebody acting in a suspicious way, you call the police or go away quickly. Alright, here are we talking about the imaginary situation or the imaginary consequence? That's right, it is the consequence. And like it is a question, you're gonna start with would, then you, and the verb in base form. Would you call? Then, here, if a sales clerk give you too much change, will you keep the money? Alright, here, like we have if, it is talking about the imaginary situation. So it's gonna be in simple past, give, gave. Then, if a friend left their bag at your house, you look through it, like in the letter B, this is the imaginary consequence and it's a question. So you're gonna start with would, you, and well, the base form of look is the same. Would you look through it? Very good, guys. Now, you're gonna ask these questions to your classmates in order to discuss your answers. Alright, so call them and discuss them. Alright, when you finish, we'll continue. Alright, let's move on. Now we have speaking, anecdote. Listen to Mandy talking about her friend's pet. Underline the correct information. Okay, so I'm gonna play the audio. You must pay attention in order to answer these questions correctly. Here it goes.
Track 39.
I know somebody who has an iguana as a pet. It's a man I work with named Angus. The iguana's name is Iggy, and it's probably about 5 years old. That's how long I've known Angus, and he got it soon after we met. It was a birthday gift from his wife. It's almost a meter long from the tip of its nose to the end of its tail, and it's a beautiful green color. Like all reptiles, iguanas never stop growing, so Iggy will get bigger and bigger. It's kind of shy and nervous, which is exactly the opposite of Angus, who's very outgoing and confident. It's definitely better looking than Angus, though. Iggy doesn't sleep in a cage. Right now, it lives at the top of the drapes in Angus' living room. When it was young, it ate crickets, but now that it's an adult, it doesn't need so much protein. In fact, it's completely vegetarian. Angus takes it for walks in the park on a leash. It's funny. When it's scared, it runs up Angus' body and sits on his head.
Very good. Now, in the exercise number 2, now you are going to tell your partner about your pet, or if you don't have a pet you know. The way you're gonna do this is that first you're gonna ask yourself the questions in exercise 1. You already know, guys, these questions, you're gonna ask them to yourself so that you can think of the answers. And you can think about what to say and how to say it. And when you're ready, you're gonna call your classmates and you're gonna tell them about the pet. Okay? And when you finish, guys, that's gonna be it for today and for this week. Now we have finished unit number 11, and next week we'll continue with unit number 12. All right? Thank you for your attention and see you next week. Take care and goodbye.